I think that we were very shocked about the massacre when it happened, but I think the sense of complete shock and overwhelm with the way that the public have behaved about it since then, the press and the media, and I think the fact that every single news, every radio that you listen to, any kind of social media, Israel and Jews are constantly on it, and it's a lot to take when you're hearing about yourselves and people are making assumptions about you and about Israel, and they've probably never been. They probably have no affiliation to it at all. It's really difficult. It's hard. None of my family and friends would venture to London when there's a march on. If one of my children has been caught up in it, and they have, they just put their head down and push their way through to get out of there as quickly as possible. We've seen where I live, kind of people getting ready to go to the march, walking along with the flags, walking along with placards and things, and there's just a sense of doom and extreme kind of hatred coming from them. So that's how it feels. I think things have changed in that they've felt anxious. There's a kind of sense of pressure about having to stand up for Israel, having to stand up for their beliefs, and that has been fine, except when they've had friends, for instance, that have challenged them on their stance on Israel or their feeling about Zionism, etc. And they're having to stick up for themselves and being put in a really difficult position and made to feel unwelcome or unfriended by those people. I just feel desperately sad for them, and I feel so frustrated, and I really wish that I could do more to kind of help, and I've offered to speak to their friends that have spoken to them in this way. You know, it has got better, but initially people just suddenly felt like they knew everything. People that had no connection to the Middle East suddenly felt like they knew everything about history of Israel and Palestinians, and they were lecturing my kids, for instance, on it, and telling my kids why the Israelis and Jews are occupiers. And you know, I offered to speak to their friends to say, you know, because I don't expect my kids to understand everything and be able to stand up for themselves in a discussion like that. Whereas I know that I've got a bit more to add, but my kids were just not comfortable about inviting these people over to discuss it with me, because they just felt like they wouldn't want to come and that it would make it worse. I think that it's very insidious and it's very clever, and it's been a long time in the training and development and making of this narrative. I think that they run rings around the Metropolitan Police. It just seems to me like it's a terrible, horrible march that causes a lot of upset, hurt, and it's very insidious.
What is the solution to liberate people in the concentration camp from Palestine?
Jihad!
What is the solution?
Jihad! Jihad!
The fact that they pretend that jihad is a personal challenge for themselves, and that it doesn't mean what we know it to mean, and from the river to the sea.
From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free!
They say it just means that they want to live with Israelis in that area, when we know that that is definitely not their end game. it's very frustrating. My children aren't happy about me doing this. I haven't actually, I mentioned it to them and then I haven't said it again, and I didn't say where I was going. I didn't talk about it last night or anything, because I suspect that if I said this is what I was doing, they would try and get me not to. They're very worried about attention. They're being highlighted on us, and I think they just wish that it would go away. It's not going away, but I think their attitude is, if we stop saying anything, if we stop fighting it, perhaps it will go away, and it's just not going to, and we have to challenge this.